Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Today I wanted to share a little bit of a conversation I had with a student that I connected with recently. I thought there was a bunch of things that we touched on that could be applicable to more than just him, so I wanted to share a couple of the questions that he had, and I hope you enjoy. The audio at the beginning is not great, but it gets fixed partway through. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.
One of my first questions is how do you find time to practice when you kind of have a busier schedule? And I know that gets harder even when you get out. But I was wondering if you have any quick tips to navigate that.
Quick tips? Let's see. Well, I think for me, I have to literally schedule it in, and especially when I was in college, I would split it up in, I don't know what the best way for you is when you practice, but for me, the best way is certain types of things at one time and then certain other types of things at another time. And then what I mean with that is kind of instrument specific stuff,
right?
In the morning, and then kind of classical studies in the afternoon, and then do all the jazz stuff at night. This is kind of what I used to do when I was in college.
Yeah.
And splitting it up and kind of having actually planning out what I needed to practice, especially the busier and busier that I got or you're getting, and kind of knowing exactly what needed to get done in that day, and kind of not worrying so much about what the time was that I was spending, but rather did I get done what needed to get done, did I learn this thing or whatever. So literally, I don't know where it is right now, but I have my planner or whatever, and I'll just schedule in okay, I have 90 minutes here to practice and I have an hour here to practice. So right. I've gotten into the habit of the night before I go to bed, looking at what the next day looks like, and okay, where am I going to fit the practicing in,
right,
this week or this day. Sometimes there is none, and then other days you squeeze it in where you can.
Do you think that living in New York is kind of the end all be all for if you want to be a jazz musician, or if you want to make it per se? If
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did you think there? I'm sure. I know there are other cities out there that have the work, but do you think New York, if you're trying to be a jazz musician, is the place to be?
I think that's very contextual to what it means to you to be, successful.
Yeah.
For if you want to play music, if you want to see where you stand in kind of the artistic jazz sense, doing your thing, playing based on the history of the music, playing, straight ahead stuff and other people's original music, and obviously that all happens everywhere, but there's a certain thing that people have here, especially the drummers, that you don't get anywhere else. And I've
Right.
played with a lot of people from a lot of places, not as many as most, not by far, but there's just there is a certain thing that happens when you live here, because everyone that's here is here for a purpose, and that purpose is usually to be the best that they can, if not one of the best in the world at the thing that they do. And there's just a different energy and a different intensity, which can be good and also can be a turnoff, because it can be too much for some people. It's worth coming for a while, even if you don't feel like you want to live here forever. I think it's worth the experience of doing it and seeing if you like it. I don't think it's the end all be all. I think there's lots of successful jazz musicians that don't live here anymore. And it also depends what kind of work you want to be doing and what kind of bands you want to play with. And I think it's important. You don't have to know right now, but you have to know at some point, what are the types of music that you want to play. And maybe those people are in LA, or maybe those people are in Miami, or maybe those people are in Atlanta, if you're depending on the music that you want to play. So I think but as a jazz musician, there's lots of jazz musicians that do well in New Orleans too. I think you can, and especially now with the internet and everything, it's possible to be wherever. But there's something to be said about the community that you're a part of when you're in New York,
Right.
as opposed to anywhere else. So
Right.
I guess my answer is basically yes and no.
Do you think grad school is beneficial for a jazz studies degree?
Yeah, so for me, thought it was helpful mostly because of the community that you develop, when you come. And it's really hard to move to the city with it being so expensive if you don't have something to do every day. It's really easy to fall into like not playing music, or fall into like feeling stressed about it, and like
Right.
working at Starbucks and whatever, and just trying to like find a way to play music again because you don't know anybody. Obviously you would have a network of people that you know already, but there's just like, it takes a while to break in to a scene enough where you can actually work, so
Right.
for me it was really good to have that stuff to do and things to really specifically work on, instead of having to wonder what exactly I was going to do from day to day. So for me, I applied to two schools. It was Juilliard and MSM, and I just said I'm going no matter what. So I'll either go to one of those schools or I'm coming to New York. And so
Yeah.
I had made up my mind, while I was an undergrad, that that's what I was going to do. So I mean, I see people being successful at it both ways. People that just move after school and are
Right.
perfectly happy with doing something on the side. Like a student of mine from Florida, he works at Sam Ash, like repairing instruments, because that's something he was doing like on the side, and so he's able to like learn about that and start to break into the scene. So
Yeah.
it takes like a good 2-3 years, so it's kind of, you have to give yourself enough time to have a chance, to
Right.
break into the scene. And when I moved, people told me it takes about 7 years before you're really like established and people start to know
Right.
who you are. And I always thought that I could beat that. Like, no, I'm going to do it faster. And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's about 7 years. It'll be 8 years this summer, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they were right.
Did you take a gap year after your undergrad, or did you just go straight to?
Yeah, I did. I took a year off because so when I was in college, I was at Eastman as an undergrad. I was teaching a lot, and I had 15 students at one time, and I was playing almost every night, and so I had zero time to do anything. And so I was like,
Right.
I'm never gonna get a good tape together, because like I realized when it was time, like the fall of my senior year, like I knew I didn't have enough time and I wasn't going to be able to practice.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to do well on my Juilliard tape because I didn't get in for my undergrad, so I really wanted to go.
Right.
So I took a year off. I mean, for me, I was working a lot, so it wasn't a big deal to take a year off.
Yeah.
And when I was in elementary school, I skipped a grade, so it kind of like I was already a year ahead
Oh, nice.
theoretically. So for me, it kind of just worked out that like, I just took a year off and stayed in Rochester where I was from, and kind of just worked and I put everything like towards that tape
Yeah.
for about 10 months. That's not the path for everyone, but that's what I had to do because I was kind of fixated on one thing.